Now we're going to start working on our bolt carrier and our bolt assembly. First we'll take our charging handle, scrub down the top and the sides just to get some of the fouling and deposits off, and we'll set that to the side. We'll add some lubrication to that when we finish with the bolt. Now we'll take our bolt. Our bolt is here, and this is our bolt carrier. We'll take our little pin and we use that to pull out our firing pin retaining pin. This little pin, we'll pull this out and we'll set this to the side. Now we're going to take our bolt, tip it up, and then that knocks out our firing pin. Alright, our firing pin we'll set to the side. Now we'll turn our bolt over, and now what we have to do is remove the bolt cam pin. Okay, the bolt cam. We'll push our bolt back in, rotate the cam, and then now that'll enable us to pull it out. If we don't rotate it, the cam won't come out because it'll run into our gas key located on the top of the bolt. So we'll rotate that, get our fingernails, pull it out. That's our cam. Set that to the side. Now we can separate our bolt from the bolt carrier. We'll set our bolt to the side. Actually, we'll work on this now. We'll set our bolt to the side. Now the next procedure is to remove our firing or our ejector spring. Okay, these are the teeth of the ejector, which hooks the casing and pulls out your casing each round. This little pin right here is your ejector spring. Okay, and that pushes tension onto the round, so when the round is in here and it flings out. Alright, what we will do is take our little punch again, put a little thumb pressure on the back here because there's a small spring located right in here. We'll just put some pressure there and that pops out nice and easy. We'll set our pin out here in front of us, and now this just pulls right out. And you see our little spring right there? This is a spring, and that fits in that slot right there, and this is what keeps back pressure. These little teeth right here is what pulls out your casing and hooks onto the rim of the casing. So now that we have these pieces out, we will take and we will start to clean these. We'll clean all our deposits, everything. Once it's cleaned up, sometimes I like to take a flathead screwdriver and work out some of the deposits that really don't want to come out, especially into the corners, and then clean it out. A pick sometimes works good too to get some of this stuff out, because you don't want that to get fouled up. Once that starts building up, it's tough to get out, and then your casings won't eject properly. Alright, now once that's done, we will reassemble this. Before we do, we'll put a little dab of oil or grease on this. Take some of our lubrication, oil that spring up, place it back into the bolt, and then I'll put our pin back. And we want to make sure that that hole is lined up, because sometimes it's quite tough to get in there if you don't have it lined up. And once you do it, push your pin back in, and now it's set. And then now you'll see I can see the little bit of movement. It's probably hard to see because my hands are shaking here, but that spring keeps that, just that little bit of tension from hooking it and pushing it out. Then I'll take some lubrication, maybe throw a little dab on that, on our ejector spring, and then I'll take my tool, give it a few pushes that works the oil, the lubrication down into that. Okay, the one thing we want to watch on our gas key, these are our gas rings. This is what seals. If there's three rings there, and you'll notice here's where the rings come together. There's one ring and the third ring down there. We want to make sure that we don't let all three of those line up. We want to keep those separated, and they're looking good right now. So the idea is if they get together, they say it could cause a leak from the gas going through, which could cause a malfunction in your bolt. That's what seals inside your bolt carrier. Okay, from this point I like to take my RID grease, get my hands mucky, and lube this up. Alright, you want it snotty lubed. See how lubed it is? We want it to make sure that this thing is lubed up. Okay, we can take this now, pop it back into our firing, back into our bolt, and we'll push it in. Now you see here, this The firing pin or the extractor spring pushes this way, this hooks it to throw your bullet out. Always remembering that right here is the ejection side of your rifle, your upper, because these are the grooves for your forward assist. This will help you what side it goes out. The other thing that I didn't show you is that your piston or your cam can only go in one side. So from the top, you'll see that your springs go out this way. If you try to put it in the wrong side, it will not go in. So it's kind of dummy proof. If you try to put it in the wrong way, you can't get this in. That'll show you that it's upside down. When you have it right, that'll seat in. So now we'll put our bolt back together. And for some reason it doesn't want to seat. Okay. Now we'll line up our holes down in here. I don't know if you can see that. We'll line up our holes inside, which will enable us to put our cam back in, which we have to turn to the side. And we have to give it a slight turn again. I'm going to pull this out to show you why we have to turn it. The firing pin goes through this once it's inside the weapon. If we don't put this in our rifle and turn it, we have to turn it so the firing pin can go through the cam. So we put it in, we turn it, we pull it forward, and now we're ready to install our firing pin back inside. The one thing we want to look at on our firing pin is see how all this fouling gets on around our pin. When you fire a lot of rounds in a day, this will really get fouled up. When you wipe your firing pin down really good, you'll notice that this stuff doesn't want to come out. Sometimes that's when I like to take a pick again and just literally scrape it to get that stuff off, because once you get let those deposits get built up, it'll cause you problems. Before I throw it in, I like to grease everything. I will lube this up real good, drop my firing pin back inside the bolt, push it all the way down, and it's set. Now that little slot that you see here when it goes in is what the firing pin, retaining pin, goes through. So when we shove this down in, now we turn our pin over, making sure that we put it in the correct side, not in this side. There's no roundness for the head of this Carter pin. Put that in, and then now it's set. Now I like to work my bolt to make sure that our cam is coming back, and you'll see the reason we want all this lubrication, all this grease inside on our bolt, because that's inside metal on metal. Now we can I'll put some more grease on or oil, and I will lube this bolt up really good. Underneath, more is better. And I'll lube that up, and then that'll be ready to go. And then I'll take some more, and I'll also lube up my charging handle just to give that some less friction, and we should be good to go. Now we can reassemble.